Over to you, Rob.
Evening, folks.
You know,
You know me, I don't like to prattle on too long, not like Steve. I'm conscious there's a prayer meeting scheduled, so I don't want to take any prattle on too long. So Stephen just asked me to say a few words about what's happening, really. And I'm just going to describe it. I thought it best to talk a little bit about the past, what's happened, where we are now in the present, before I say a couple of things about the future with regards me, I suppose, and your own family. So just to say that 5 years ago, pretty much almost 5 years ago to the day, I arrived, came here as curate with the family. I think that's pretty much the same week. Stephen and I went to, I think it was White Cross School, where there was grand plans about a new estate to be built on the Three Elms. Really was, they've done a lot of way. That was 5 years ago. Fast forward a couple of years. So 3 years ago, together with, in collaboration with the diocese, Stephen and I put together a project, the Three Elms project, that you'll have heard us talk about before. And this was a 5-year plan, a 5-year project that we put together with the diocese that would involve me staying on after curacy and becoming associate vicar. That started 2 years ago. The aim being that we would eventually plant a church on the new Three Elms estate that was being built. 5-year plan. The idea, basically, it really felt as if we were the right church, we were at the right size, we had the right sort of momentum, we were at the right church in the right place at the right time. And therefore, within that 5-year period, we could go and plant a new church on a new estate, which makes sense, and it's an excellent opportunity. Fast forward, coming up to just over a year ago now, COVID. As I'm sure you all know, COVID has derailed every aspect, every area of life, including churches. It's derailed so much of what we were doing as a church, what we wanted to do, our plans, and the momentum we had. So that's a quick whistle-stop over coming up to pretty much just a year ago when COVID started. So to bring things a bit closer up to the present, it's not just our church plans that obviously COVID has severely disrupted. In mid-March of this, so a couple of months ago, we got the news that the plan for the Three Elms estate was being shelved indefinitely. That's it. It's been going for years in the planning, shelved. I think a lot of that's to do with COVID, but a lot of other reasons as well. I suppose it's become a bit like a bypass, really. Always talked about, nothing ever happened. Anyway, so we've taken the decision, I should say at my instigation, really, but we've taken the collective decision between myself, Stephen, the project board, the diocese, to suspend the planting project and its funding. As far as I'm concerned, and I think everyone can see this, that it's no longer wise. It's no longer wise or justified, I certainly don't think, for the diocese or Holmer parish funds to be spent and invested on a project on my position, basically, that, albeit through unforeseen circumstances, has totally hit the back burner. So I've therefore had to think and pray about my and my family's future plans and what we're going to do. So, okay, to the future. But just before I outline my idea, just to bring you back up to date to the present. Yesterday, and I say this because I think it's all in God's timing. Yesterday, I exchanged contracts on a house very close to St Mary's Grandstand Road. That doesn't mean I'm going to be climbing on the roof clearing it of dog poo, Steve. If you're watching this online, I know that makes no sense. You had to be here for that one. Why am I buying a house? Why are we buying a house? As most of you know, Alyssa and I are now raising our grandchildren, Harry, who's nearly 6, and Ava, who's nearly 9 months. She's a sweetheart and already roaming around all over the place, causing chaos. So we've known for a while that we need a bigger house. God has also seen fit to bless us with some financial support, as we now act as full-time carers and guardians for Harry and David. As well, I'm sure you all know, I suppose for Rose's benefit, we've also got son Nate, who's 10, and Maddie, who's 12, and my eldest is 25, Bronnie. So if you count it all, she's pregnant, so if you count it all up, we would in theory make a family of 8. So maybe we could plant a church. We keep going. Anyway, now, Lisa and I feel fairly strongly that this is our church, and you're our church family. This is our church, and you're our church family. We want to keep worshipping here, and we want to keep serving you in the ways that we can as we go forward. So, after much thought and prayer, we would love to stay.
Really?
So we'd be. I'm glad there's one person. Stay, Phil. Thank you very much.
See you in the pub later.
Bless. So with the agreement of Bishop Richard, and with your blessing and with Stephen's blessing, when my contract expires next month, I'm going to stay on as associate vicar, but just move from stipendiary ministry, basically paid ministry, to being a self-supporting minister. As far as I'm concerned, we'll work this out together as we go. I believe that God is calling me, and has been, we've had to make some adjustments as a family, Lisa and I. And I believe I'm going to have to make some adjustments to work, home-life balance. And I do think God has been telling me that I do need to prioritise the raising of the children that He's placed in our care. But last thing I'd say is we feel such a sense of joy and peace about this. That God has continued to bless us. I've written a piece for the magazine, so you'll see me say some different things in the magazine that explains this as well when it comes out in a week or so. I've felt God's peace and blessing throughout this whole year that's been difficult for all of us in so many ways. We feel blessed to be part of Holmer Church. Being part of the Holmer Church family is very much part of the blessing that we feel God has given us. That's it, really. That's what I wanted to say. If you want to ask me any questions quickly, I'll try to rattle through by. Go on, Rose.
The other thing that new estates on that side, the point, and over here, that they warrant you being an assistant minister of their own right.
Rose makes a good point, which is we've got the new estate, Hereford Point. Yeah. Hereford Point is a fantastic opportunity for this church. The beautiful thing about Hereford Point really is we don't need to plant on it. Really, when it's all said and done, Hereford Point has planted itself right next to Holmer Church. So when it's finished, it's going to be an alleyway, a pathway right from that church, the door, straight into a house that goes right out onto the. So we've got an incredible opportunity there as a church. We really have. Does that answer your question? So in other words, no, it doesn't warrant. We're not going to plant again because we're already bang on the slap bang on the very edge.
But it still means more work for ministers, isn't it? As well as.
We're going to. We've got a curate coming, so we've got Erin coming. Yeah. I'm struggling to hear you. That's my only.
Yeah, that's all I said was it still means more work.
The estate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will be done within the next year, 2 years. I think pretty much the last houses are going up now. And when it's completed, we're gonna be there when we're allowed. There's a lovely play area that's perfect with houses all built that are going to be built all around it. It's going to be the perfect place for mission and outreach, which we'll plan and do, I'm sure. Did I just about make sense?
Yes.
Bless you.
Just wondering about the financial support.
as a church, then I'm sure that we would want to support you in every way.
The answer is God has blessed us and provided for us as a family in a different way. So, without labouring the point, how do I say this? The money that was going to be spent on the Associate Vicar's role can be better spent in other ways. Certainly from the diocese point of view, and also we talked about the accounts not too long ago. It doesn't need to be put, I don't know how to put it without crudely, it doesn't need to go in my pocket. And so the last thing I could, in all good conscience, do is to look to keep taking funding for something that in all good conscience isn't right anymore. And when I talk about the joy and peace of God, God will make a way and all the rest of it. We've had a lot more, as a family, there's a lot more not put on us. We've got a lot more obligations. But we're getting some financial support for that. So it can work. It can work. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for staying.